if you're new to COG, our COG family, coffee is my favorite way to connect. And so, so I just call these coffee chats, and we just share. And my husband just lets me be me. So this is how we're going to do it. Does that sound good? Yeah. Okay. So today we're going to talk about your calling is calling. Yeah, do you guys remember? I wanted to talk about it last time. So this is what we're talking about today. I asked Jesus, how do you feel about today? I always want to know how he feels. And he said that today would be good and today would be fun. He's so excited to have this conversation. I have always been a questy person. When I say questy, I mean like on a quest, always feeling like, what is the thing? There's more, there's calling, there's something always inside of me, right? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to start, I'm just going to pray real quick. So you guys, if you don't mind, open your hand because God has a gift for us today of just sharing with us who we are, okay? So let's do that really quick. Oh, Jesus. Thank you that you're in the room. I'm so excited to have this conversation. We've been having this conversation my whole life. And today we're going to have it together, and I'm so excited. I ask that you would just move, show us who we are in you, and just open up our eyes to what you have for us, what you've called us to. And we thank you. We're excited. We love you. Amen. All right, you guys. Okay, so first of all, what is a calling? Right? So the dictionary definition is something like this, like God's initiative to bring people to himself to participate in his redemptive work in the world. That's good, right? Kind of heavy. So this is my definition. It's the thing that whispers to you in the quiet or in the chaos. Like you've had a bad day. You've had a bad day at work and you're like, no, I don't like this. This can't be all there is, right? That feeling that there's got to be something more. How you guys felt that? Yes, okay, very good. So that is the thing. That's the calling that's calling you, okay? So the great Miles Monroe, do you guys know of him? Okay, yeah, we love him. So he says this, he says there's two great days in your life. The first day is the day you're born. That's a great day. But the second day is the day when you discover who you are. So good. And then God says it like this. He says, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. And I set you apart. That's the verse he speaks over me all the time. Psalms 139 says it like this. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. When I hear that, I get an image of a little grandma. Have you seen a little grandma just doing her knitting away, all the little loops? That is how God has intricately knit us together with our personality, the details of our story. So this has always been inside of us, right? And God's always been speaking. He's always been trying to reveal it to us. So how do we figure this out? I like to think about it as kind of like the anatomy of a calling. Anatomy as in like the structure. Okay, is there structure to this? Like I said, I've been searching this my whole life. And I feel like I'm just in this place of discovery, right? So let me get some water. Does everybody have a coffee? If you have a coffee, hold it up. Okay. So, the first thing, in case you guys haven't spent like the last 20 years, trying to figure out who you are, I've got you, okay? Because I have been doing that. And I have 4 pointers, so kind of like arrows. Would you guys like to hear them? Okay. So first, and these are all things that are true in my life, okay? So things that I've experienced myself. So first, we want to think about childhood dreams. Like, what did you think that you wanted to be when you were a child? Before anybody told you that you couldn't. What was that? What was inside you? Okay? So I remember I had this journal, and it was like a check the box. What do you want to be when you grow up? And I had 3 things. Okay? So my first one was teacher. Okay? And then my second one was firefighter. But look at my hair is flammable. Like, that's not a good plan. So clearly it's not that. So, okay, another one was basketball player. How funny, right? But I was tall, so everyone would say, oh, you're tall. You should be a basketball player, right? So in my kid mind, I had this vision of like a Michael Jordan moment, right? Like I could just, and I don't even know about sports, so I won't say the words. But anyway, I was ready to take a shot, right? And I had this moment, and it was like I could take the shot or I could pass it. And I passed it, you guys. Not because I was afraid, but because I knew, like, I can be great or I can help someone else be great. Yeah, in my little kid heart, that's how I felt. That was a picture. Even as a little child, God was speaking to me. I'm a supporter. I'm a helper. That's what I do. And it fulfills me. Okay, so that's just an example. So that's one. Now, the next thing is I want you to think about what's your personal pain, right? What's your story? Think about your childhood. Did you have an amazing childhood or not so amazing childhood? You know, my mom died when I was 2, and that defined me. Right? My mom was Italian-Ethiopian mix, and I'm this. My dad's white. And people would come to me and say, are you black or white or what? Like cross rooms to ask me that. I'm like, I'm a kid. I don't know what I am. But these things like started to define my story, right? My identity. So think about yourself as a young adult. What was that time in your life like? How are you feeling? How did you navigate that part of your life? For me, I was a business owner, right? A young business owner without a clue, right? And that time of my life, I consider that life school. Like I didn't go to college, but I did my business, and I learned in those times like how to trust God with money and without money. You know, how to lead myself when your emotions are like everywhere as you're trying to lead others. That was such a defining part of who I am. Hard times that established grit inside of me, and I still draw from this today. Okay, so I want you to think about that. What's your adulting story? Are you married, single? What's that season look like for you? I know my season was single forever, it seemed like. I was praying for someone who wasn't coming, like he was somewhere. He was somewhere, right? I'm still praying. He's not coming. I'm just saying, if you're single, there's hope. Yeah, keep praying. Yeah, so things like that. We started a church. That's a big deal and something I would never have chosen for myself. I would never feel called to do. I would never feel equipped to do that, right? But here we are. Here I sit. And I find myself now, at my age, at this point in my life, just feeling like I'm figuring it out. And I want to help you. If you felt this way, I want to help you get there quicker. Okay? So for yourself, what are your defining snapshot moments? Okay? What are the different parts of your story? Okay? So we have our childhood and our personal pain, right? That part of the story. And I want to add this because I think this is so good. Ed Milet has this phrase, and it goes like this. It goes, you are the best and most qualified person to help the person you just were. Okay? So we don't have to wait till we figure it out, right? The next thing is this one. And to me, this was so big and such an arrow for me, okay? Let me say it like this. Fear. What does the enemy have on repeat for you? Okay? What's the thing that when you're thinking about, oh, I wish I could, I'd love to write a book or have my own business or be like a painter or something. What's the thing that if you weren't thinking about money, you were just thinking about what you wanted, what you would love to do? What is that? And what does the enemy say? Oh, you could never, right? You'll never be good enough for fill in the blank, right? So for me, you guys may remember that he would always tell me, nobody wants to hear what you have to say. Just be quiet. And this affected me in the little ways, in little places, and in the big places of my life. So I want you to think about that. What does the enemy have on repeat for you? Okay? I believe, in my experience, and I believe this to be true, that fear is a very specific arrow. Okay? Now here's the last one. The last arrow is burden. What do you feel pain, injustice, passion? What problems or situations in the world or around you feel personal to you? Okay? Now, I was sitting at the funeral for my best friend's mom when Jesus spoke this to me. Okay? Her mom was like the most amazing kindergarten teacher. Like if you knew her, you knew that she was in her sweet spot. She was in her calling. And if you ever saw her with a child, she would like make them come alive. And she did this effortlessly, right? 2 generations she taught. Parents would, they'd grow up and they'd bring their kids back to the same private school so that their kids could be taught by the same teacher who taught them. Because she was so good. She was so good at giving children a wonderful experience. But did you know that she herself, her daughter was talking about this at the funeral, that she herself was tormented by the things that happened to her as a child. Like all the beautiful things that she'd given to the world, but she herself never got free. And I was sitting there and I was crying because I was so sad for her. I knew her and I was so sad for her to know that at her last days, that was the experience. She was reliving those things. And that's when Jesus said to me, Let's fix that. Let's do that together. Let's not let people die trapped in their own prison. Yeah. He said, let's do that together. And it's like I said, my identity and my calling, it's like coming together like a beautiful collaboration, right? Not like I have to do this, but like I get to do it, right? So what about you? Have you ever thought about this? What kind of things do you want to make better? What does Jesus want to fix with you? Together with you. So as we're looking to define these things, to define our calling and define our place, the things that he put inside of us, we're going to look for connection points over those 4 things, okay? So our dreams, our childhood dreams, and the essence, okay? The essence that was there. Our story, what do you know about? Okay? The third, what are you scared of? What makes you feel like you could never do that? And what do you want to change? What makes your heart hurt? What makes you sad? Those are the pointers to your calling. And I can tell you, like I said, as someone who's been questy about this my whole life, I made that word up. To be at this place of like figuring things out, it's like this. It's like seeing in black and white and then seeing in color. Like everything around me, everything about the world looks different because he's telling me who I am and what I'm supposed to do. In all the situations, in all the places that I go, as I learn more about who I am, I learn what I bring. And that makes life exciting in a new way. Romans 8:22 talks about it like this. Creation groans for sons and daughters to be manifested. And the Passion says it like this. The entire universe is standing on tiptoe, yearning to see the unveiling of God's glorious sons and daughters. Like this, like, who are they going to be? When are they going to figure it out? Yeah. So this is a lot to think about, right? But I want you, if you feel the way that I feel, I want you to talk about it with Jesus and ask him to walk through the details with you. And you know what? He cannot wait. This is the conversation that he's been wanting to have with you your whole life. So, let's take action. Okay? Think about this. Where are you uniquely positioned now? Not like one day when, the kids are gone. Not then, now. Where can you begin? And I ask you that, why? Because your calling is calling. Let's say it together. Let's make it personal. Let's say, my calling is calling. Yeah. So family, let's work together. Let's figure it out. And we can change our church. We can change our city together. Right? That's all I have. Was that helpful? Yeah, I love you guys so much.